Welcome everyone to episode 137 of Puppet Masters and Castle Freaks, the internet's leading all things Charles Band podcast. I am one of your hosts, Jared Hornbeck, the podcast host who's so yummy that he can stop traffic. And I'm asking you to join our circle of power. And I'm doing so from, where I usually am here in Brooklyn, New York. But no, I am not the only person who is living in this very odd foster house. No, who else is here with me?
Well, I'm Steve Guntley, and please let me direct the conversation. This is the podcast about sacred putty, playground telekinesis, and high suction toilets. That's because this is the podcast about BIRTH RITE, a witchy, campy horror flick and the last of our Shadow Films features from the director of Bleed, Devin Hamilton. And we are very excited to be joined today by who I consider one of the grand dames of the horror scene, if we will, one of the chosen ones. Who do we have here with us?
I was waiting to see how long it was going to take for one of us to call either ourselves or our guest the grand dames of this show, and it happened way faster than I thought.
Some movies give you more alts for this opening copy than others, and this one gave me a lot of alts. I have a lot of stuff to pull from with BIRTH RITE. Sorry, I interrupted.
No, of course. Well, no, I'm very excited for our guest here, too. I mean, anybody who's been listening to the show knows that we have a really great relationship with Fangoria. We've had a lot of contributors and people involved in the magazine on. And this is somebody who I've been wanting to, and Steve has been wanting to have on the show for a long time. So it's Angel Melanson who's here with us, and she is the digital editor of Fangoria, the web boss, Fangoria host. She does all kinds of awesome stuff. She's someone who, not just because she has a really unique look, but somebody who would pop up in horror documentaries or on the pages of Fangoria in some kind of editorial thing. And I was just like, this is somebody who we have to collaborate with. And finally, we got her here. So Angel, thank you so much. Well, episode 137, here you are.
Yay, you summoned me. Thank you so much for having me. Also, that was a hell of an intro. I was like, but also, fair warning, I was like, if they don't say Grand Dame within the first 30 seconds, I'm out. That's it, I'm out. But
I read your writer. Don't worry. Don't worry. Yeah, no.
And thank you for sending those green M&Ms, by the way. And
my
bowls, my 5 tons of candy corn. We're good. We're in good standing.
We're so excited to have you. Thank you so much for being here. We are we are slowly trying to collect the entire staff of Fangoria
you're like
the morbid Pokemon. You are our shiny Mewtwo that we've been trying to get for a while. We've been wanting to have you on for a bit.
I accept the Mewtwo. Thank you.
Yeah, there you go.
I was wondering I was like, wait, which Pokemon am I? And I'm like, okay, that's a cool one.
I was really pulling it. I'm like, you know what? Cubone is a little close, but no, I think you got some Mewtwo energy. I don't know. This is for nobody.
I like it.
But we're very excited to have you, and we're very excited that we get to be talking about this movie. Now, this is one. Now, we usually with our guests we offer either, hey, is there a movie you're really passionate about? If not, can we spin the wheel and see where we land? And for you chose to spin the wheel, and it landed on BIRTH RITE. And this is kind of concluding a little mini series for us. This is 3 movies, all made within about a year, by the same guy, Devin Hamilton, in which Full Moon was briefly kind of rebranded as Shadow Pictures. And we talked about the 2 end pieces, the To Die and Bleed, and now we are talking about the meat of that sandwich, BIRTH RITE. I just wanted to start off by saying, what is your kind of obviously you're with Fangoria, so you have a great relationship with horror and B-movie stuff and stuff like that. But what was kind of the thing that first got you into this? Like, what started you off on this crazy journey?
First, I have a question for you. Are we talking about the 2025 one-word BIRTH RITE, or are we talking about BIRTH RITE 2003, 2 separate words?
Oh, we're talking about BIRTH RITE 2003, 2 separate.
Oh, great. This podcast is done. I watched the wrong one. No, I'm just kidding.
You know what? That would have been totally acceptable if you did, because I will say, full disclosure, when I said, hey, why don't you check out this movie BIRTH RITE, I put it as one word in the email. And then I realized after the fact, oh no, this one is separated, the 2 words, and there is a 2025 movie called BIRTH RITE. That's one word. I hope Angel doesn't watch that instead. And then Angel wrote me back saying, like, yeah, let's do it. Let's watch 2003's Birthright. And it was like both capital, both separate words. And
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, okay, cool. She got it.
I'm a little bit of a stickler for details. I pay a little bit of attention, so we were
Appreciate
good.
Yes,
It would have been
yes.
fun though to go through half the conversation where I'm talking about a totally different movie, and then we realized that we didn't watch the same movie.
Yeah, it's like very Tim and Eric podcasting at that point. We're getting really abstract with it. Like that we'll all three talk about, like, you talk about Birthright 2025, I'll talk about 2003. Jared, you talk about apples and just how much you like apples, or really generally your opinion on apples. I've never asked. But yeah. But either way.
Pro. I feel like I get
Pro.
the feeling
Pro.
he's pro
I'm pro.
apples. Yeah.
I'm from New
and
York,
now-
man. I have to be pro Apple.
Big apples, pro apples.
Yes.
Your question was my relationship with horror.
Yeah,
Yeah.
where did it kind of start for you? Like how were you an early adopter, or did you kind of come to horror like a little older?
I was a very early adopter, particularly of monster movies. I loved horror for as long as I can remember. I was not allowed to watch rated R movies. So growing up in the 80s, that limited my choices a little bit. Like I couldn't watch Freddy, I couldn't watch Jason, I couldn't watch all these franchises that everybody was talking about, but I could watch Universal monster movies. And my dad's a huge fan of Universal monsters. So like that was my shit growing up. Like I was obsessed with all the monster movies. I was allowed to watch Twilight Zone, which actually as a kid, if somebody who wants to write, I mean, that is essentially every episode is like a master class in like genius, brilliant, incredible writing and what you can do with kind of limited resources, limited actors, limited locations. So I guess thanks to my parents for not letting me watch the stuff I was really
What
trying.
has Richard
Yeah.
Matheson ever done?
Big shot.
What's that guy gonna amount to?
And I
Yeah.
don't want to interrupt you again, Angel, but I was thinking every time we have a guest who has a similar experience to you, where they're saying like, oh, I was a kid in the 80s, I wasn't allowed to watch rated R movies, I wasn't allowed to watch these movies. My first thought is always like, it's really bad you didn't go to school with me and come hang out at my house, because you would have been watching all of them unsupervised.
There was always that
we
one
would-
kid.
For sure. You're at Jared's house again? I'm like, yeah. But one of like the things that really scarred me, I was way too young to watch the It miniseries when it came out.
Mhm.
So my parents were sticklers about what I could watch, but because this was made for TV, I guess they just did not think that it could be as horrific as it was. I watched the first part of that miniseries, absolutely fucked me up. I didn't want to do my chores. I didn't want to go downstairs to take the laundry down because I was terrified of Pennywise. I was like 7 or 8, like that's terrifying. But my parents threatened me, no more horror movies if you're too scared to watch them and you can't handle it. And part 2 was coming out like the next day, so I couldn't miss the end of the miniseries. So I ran downstairs, threw the laundry in, came back upstairs, but my dad, or I guess a clown, was waiting for me at the base of the stairs. Clown wig, clown nose, and I just it was like a Scooby-Doo moment. Like I felt like my feet were plastered to the ground, and like the scream came from my ankles and worked its way up to my mouth. I screamed and like bolted. My mom comes to the top of the stairs, so confused. I like jump into her arms, and then she sees my dad coming up the stairs behind me in the clown wig and the clown nose. So that traumatized me, but also maybe, formed me into the human that I grew up to be. So I guess thanks.
we all have something like that. I don't think I ever really said this on mic, because I've told my horror origin story a ton of times, and it starts in the mid 80s as a little kid. And just this fascination with Freddy when I first discovered him, and Jason no, that's misleading, because I actually first saw Roy before I saw Jason. But
he's a Roy boy.
I'm a Roy boy through and through.
Classic Roy
But
boy.
the thing when I was like 5 years old that I saw that scared the shit out of me, that my parents would troll me about afterwards, was Large Marge.
Large Marge will fuck you up,
And
man. To this day.
my parents used to do that to me like for like 6 months to a year, between whenever I, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and then when I started actually like being interested in horror movies. Like my mom would just look at me and be like, "Tell him Large Marge sent you," and I would like run out of the room.
Oh, your mom sounds awesome. That's kind of incredible.
That's so cool. Yeah,
There was a lot of really scary stuff though in the 80s. Like if parents were not really actually paying attention and just letting you watch it because it's not quote unquote rated R and in the theater, like we were watching some very scary shit that they were not paying attention to.
Oh my god, the 80s is a real like minefield of like secret kinder trauma movies. Like Return to Oz is off the most often cited.
That's a horrifying.
That is a full on like crazy body horror movie. That movie is it's amazing, but it is I classify it full on horror. Like it's not even a family film. And then that crazy like Mark Twain. Did anybody see that Mark Twain
yes.
stop motion? They had this whole sequence
that's
with like
nightmare.
the faceless stranger or something. Yeah. Oh, that was so cool.
That was like
but,
someone
like,
having a bad
terrifying.
trip, and then they made it into a stop motion, and then somebody at a studio or whatever cable channel was like, "Oh, it's animated. This must be for kids," and it's not at all.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing. They're kind of pulling like a Willy Wonka with that movie because most of that film is totally for kids. Like totally fine watching that movie, but you blank out on that one terrifying little chunk of the movie. Yeah,
I remember nothing about that movie except for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course, that's what sticks to you. And I just want to say, for your consideration also for this conversation, the Care Bears movie 2, A New Generation.
Never saw a single Care Bear. I managed
not a Care Bear guy.
I managed to get throughout the 80s and the 90s without ever becoming Care Bear pilled.
Miraculous.
So
I'm
you
sorry.
Just say I don't care. I just don't care. I never learned empathy. So that's
Careless
why.
Bear over here.
Mhm. Yeah.
Is part 2 the one with the magician kid and the creepy mask in the book? Oh, that's terrifying. It's great.
Is it? Okay.
It's actually, so somebody who is a bit younger who was hearing that might have thought I was like being sarcastic and just making a joke. No, like that animated movie was terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
And, Angel, you are an expert in many things horror. And this came up on our show very early on. A horror movie that was rated PG somehow that we covered on the show. Tourist Trap. Are you familiar with the movie Tourist Trap?
I'm familiar with the movie Tourist Trap. Yes.
One of the wildest PG ratings you will ever see.
Why? It's a family fun film. Take the kids to the drive-in, pile them in the back seat.
I mean, it is a drive-in. It is a drive-in-ass movie.
Through. Pumping through the DNA of that movie is driving.
Oh yeah.
And since you're pretty close in age to us and you're talking about your origin story, discovering horror movies and seeing the It miniseries and being sort of traumatized by that, did you then take that like newfound interest in horror and go and just peruse the aisles of your local video store for hours on end? And if you did, what were some of your favorite covers? I'm curious about this. We had a great conversation with Heather Buckley when we did our Dolls episode about VHS box art. And so and we named a couple that we loved. So not to spend too much time on it, but just what pops into your brain.
I was lustfully wandering the aisles of the horror section. I couldn't take a lot of them home, but the one that I continuously would stop and just stare at it was for Dead Alive. It's the image of like that mouth being pulled open, and it took me, I didn't see it until I was an adult. It's one of my favorite movies, but that is like the prime example of imagining what the movie could possibly be based on the cover art. The actual movie is nothing like having to do with that. Nothing that I imagined in the years and years and years of visiting my friend at the video store and then seeing the actual thing. And I love the movie, but it's just not anywhere near what I pictured. I don't know what I thought it was going to be, but it definitely was not that.
And I mean, and there weirdly, that scene is in the movie, like the skull coming out of the mouth, like that kind of is in the movie, but it's still not exactly right. Like, and I agree with that. I was obsessed with that box art, and I that's an all-time favorite movie of mine. The only time I ever won an award for doing anything artistic was drawing the cover of that in high school. I got put into the senior art show.
Awesome.
So it was like I was obsessed with that image. That thing was so cool.
That's amazing.
I love that movie. Well, let's talk a little bit about Birth Rite, because holy shit, is this movie insane. I was so delighted by this. Birth Rite was released April 22nd, 2003. It's written and directed by Devin Hamilton, and it stars Natalie Sutherland, Danny Wolski, Laura Nativo, Brink Stevens, Larry Dirk, Ronnie Jean Blevins, Kyle Lupo, Sky Stafford, Brave Matthews, and the great Julie Strain. Now, as we have discussed, for a brief moment, Devin Hamilton and his Shadow Films label, they were kind of looking to take over the Full Moon mantle. Charles Band was sort of at one of the lowest points financially for the company. It was one of the biggest, kind of one of the biggest struggle times for the company overall. And Hamilton is a hardworking young film buff from North Carolina. He shot 3 Full Moon movies back to back to back while still maintaining his day job as a sales manager for a media distribution company. Now, as we discussed, Bleed came out first in 2002. It's a standout for Full Moon movies because this is the movie that made us realize, A, Full Moon does not do slashers. This is kind of the one and only that they do. But even more shocking, is that Full Moon almost has no movies in which human beings hurt other human beings, except for this little trilogy of films. Like almost every other time, it's a creature, it's a puppet, it's a tiny little monster, it's a spiritual thing or a supernatural thing. These are like the only movies where humans are hurting humans. And so they feel kind of jarring and kind of different from anything else the studio is doing. So Delta Delta Die would be the end of Hamilton's run, and Birthright is sandwiched right here in the middle. Now, Bleed was originally conceived because a rep at Blockbuster mentioned how popular teen slashers like Scream were, and Birthright came about much the same way because the mid-90s were kind of a haven or coven or whatever you want to call it for teen witchy things, you know, like The Craft obviously is probably the biggest influence on this 1995 film, very popular for girls around my age. But we also had shows like Charmed and Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and I think this movie also has a healthy keeping of Buffy the Vampire Slayer as well. Now, after Bleed proved to be a modest home video success on its teeny tiny budget, band doubled the budget for this one, so a whopping $75,000. That's right, which still is not a lot, but it was mostly enough to keep the boom mics out of frame on this one. At least all three films borrow a lot of the same sets and cast members because sometimes I believe it was this movie, like they would film Birthright during the day and then film Birthright during the day because this is a very brightly lit, dark and gothic supernatural film. And then at night they would shoot Delta Delta Die. And honestly, most of the time they were using the same sets and the same actors. So Brink Stevens, Julie Strain, Laura Nativo, all three are in all of these movies. And that just kind of happened over a year.
You are really downplaying the Devin Hamilton stable of actors. Like, you know, this is just a
he has a
roving
repertory
band, of repertory players who show
it's like a paternoster
movies.
troupe in medieval England. Yes. Yes, exactly.
No, I think that makes the Shadow Entertainment era really interesting because you have the fall of the Tempe era here, J.R. Bookwalter and the micro budgets. He was really churning stuff out. He kind of hit a wall, maybe creatively, some tension between him and Charles Band. And so the resulting Shadow Entertainment was looked at as a new direction. Obviously, you know, the Full Moon has always been a bit, how should I say this, derivative. I don't mean that in an insulting way, but anytime you're sort of an exploitation by nature label, you're looking for trends and you're kind of exploiting them. So a lot of times you're looking at what's hot and you're trying to strike while the iron's hot and continue a trend. Every once in a while they would come up with an original idea that was really great and it would result in one of their best movies. But here it's like, you know, they're seeing the way the wind's blowing and they're following it here. But I think like this more than any of the other periods of Full Moon really feels like and it's exactly how it's written and it came from the video while. Like, okay, where did you get the idea for Bleed? Oh, well, a representative from Blockbuster said that we should cash in on the slashers. Okay, where'd you get the idea for Birthright? Well, a representative from Blockbuster said we should do some teen witchy stuff.
Yeah, I hope he got an associate producer credit. Yeah.
Right. And I find that fascinating because you're totally right, Steve. This is a really short, like 3-movie little period before they rebrand again as Full Moon Features and just focus on under the flagship label, where it feels the least like a Charles Band run company. I don't mean that in a good way or a bad way. It just is. And so I actually kind of like these 3 movies because they stray from the Tiny Terrors a bit. And because we have like some humans doing some human mayhem here in these 3 movies, like, and they're all kind of borrowing from things. I don't know about you guys, but early on in Birthright, I had a moment where I was watching this and I just kind of chuckled to myself and I went, boy, Devin Hamilton really, I can't tell if he hopes that you've seen Halloween or that you haven't seen Halloween.
Right.
Because he is staging and framing shots early in the movie that are just direct lifts from Halloween, and which is fine. Halloween is my all-time favorite movie. So by all means, like if you're going to borrow from the best. But I was cracking up the whole scene with Rebecca looking out the window of her classroom with Roman standing and then gone. They play the scene a little bit differently where for Jamie Lee Curtis, it's that she's caught off guard by her teacher, but can still answer the question. And here, Rebecca's like, no, no, no. Did you see outside? There's a man out there, which feels maybe more like the natural reaction. But
it's like Halloween if Michael Myers was floating, because isn't he like kind of
Yeah.
floating outside the window? And then also
boy, is he
like if
floating.
Lori was like, he's kind of sexy though, because she's like instantly like, this guy's weird, but I'm also sexually attracted to him, maybe.
So I have so many thoughts on this movie that I'm going to put a pin in for a moment, because I realize I haven't asked Angel, like, what's your exposure to full moon movies in general? Like, I know this is kind of like a niche label, even for a lot of like horror fans, but have you ever sampled the Puppet Masters or anything like that?
Puppet Master, of course. I mean, who hasn't sampled the wares of Puppet Master? Kind of a little bit of a holy grail for me, actually, is the end of Puppet Master 6, because I went to a very specific, like, all-night film festival thing, but it was like their 6th anniversary, so they were playing the 6th installments of movies. So by the time I got to Puppet Master 6, right at the end where we have the payoff, I had a lot of soda. It was time for me to get up. I had to run to the bathroom. I missed the end of Puppet Master 6, and I have never gone back to see what the payoff is and how everything turns out. So I need to go back and watch that. Or maybe I just don't.
We've covered that movie, and I don't think I could tell you how it ends. I'll be honest with you. Curse of the Puppet Master is kind of a lower ranked one.
Dave Dakota's Curse of the Puppet Master. You know how that movie ends. It ends with a hunk tied down in tighty whities.
Oh, of course. Oh, why did I not think of that? Yeah, I always forget about Dakota and his hunks.
Well, listen, he is, he cannot, Devin Hamilton cannot cast any stones, because if you notice anything, it's the same for Bleed, it's the same for Delta Delta Die, and it's the same here. Devin Hamilton loves a hunk too. Like, the gaze in this movie is definitely directed toward Roman, and maybe even a little bit towards Alex, but not really towards Rebecca or Aaron very much.
No,
in this
it's
film.
it's hunk centric. It's very hunk centric here.
It absolutely is. But my big thought that I need to share here is that, like, the thing that people always ask, like, when I tell them about the premise of this show, is like, oh, okay, so it's kind of like a making fun of bad movies podcast or something, like, and that's not really what we do. Because we don't, like, strangely, there are not that many good bad movies that we've encountered on this show. We've encountered bad movies, we've encountered movies that are like kind of better than expected, but there's not that many good bad movies in the sense that we think of it like The Room or Plan 9 from Outer Space or things like that you can kind of riff along to. I think Birthright might be the best good bad movie that we've encountered on this show so far. It makes so many amazingly batshit decisions. It's way gorier than you think it is. It's way hornier than you think it's going to be. It has all this ridiculous dialogue that they're trying to, like, spew out, and it's the budget is so low, and, like, the action is so goofy. When this breaks out into a capoeira kung fu battle in a tennis court, I was just standing and cheering. I'm like, oh my God, this thing is kind of something special. And I mean this with all affection. I had so much fun with this movie. I was kind of like girding myself. I'm like, oh God, is this going to be another witch house? Is this going to be another like sitting through like a bunch of people in a mansion talking? Right. Oh no.
And that's the other thing is, like, to me, one of the hallmarks of, like, what can be a good bad movie is if it's like a true camp or it's like a failed sincerity. So Steve brought up The Room, and you have a movie that is supposed to be a sincere drama made by a person who may be a space alien. Like, you know what I mean? So, like, it's just, nothing makes any sense, and that's the kind of thing that you can have fun with, and that's why that thing plays in huge houses to packed crowds, and with Greg Sestero and Tommy Wiseau playing into the joke. I feel like a lot of the choices, even down to the dialogue and line deliveries in this movie, are very intentional. Like, I found there to be more intentional comedy in this than I was expecting. And because I really thought this was going to be very dry and serious also. Like, I was ready to sit down and have it be like this super serious, occulty attempt at a witchy kind of slasher movie. But it had this goofy energy I thought particularly, and I felt it almost immediately. My fears were kind of vanquished when I put it on. and I saw the way that Natalie Sutherland was playing Rebecca. I feel like everything is sort of purposeful. Like Devin Hamilton wrote the movie as well. I think he intended for it to be over the top and silly and funny in a lot of places. And I thought like she was having some fun. The one thing I will say, I don't know if you guys noticed this or not, but Natalie Sutherland, I was looking at her IMDb and she's Scottish. She's from Edinburgh. And that accent at a couple moments is hanging on for dear life. And it's
little bit.
But there's an amazing part where she's suppressing, and it's the scene when she has the school psychologist's blood on her, not the student from the classroom, and they're like, "Oh, you did get blood on your leg," and she looks down and I swear she goes full Scrooge McDuck, like, "Ah, damn it!"
Ah, damn! I got to go jump in me vault full of coins. I mean, it's absolutely batshit. And I don't know if we've talked about this in previous episodes, and I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but like I've always struggled a bit with witchcraft movies. Like I've never loved The Craft. Like I think there's some like cool stuff. I never really connected with it. And I think weirdly, this movie kind of helped illuminate a little bit about what I don't like about them, is that like weirdly, witchcraft movies, for all their like sinful imagery and everything, puritanical, right? They're always about like a girl getting corrupted and she needs like the power of goodness and Christianity to kind of save the day. And I'm like, it always feels like weirdly a little scoldy. And there was something for refreshing about in this movie, the main character, Rebecca, she does not have any kind of conflict about turning. Or if she does, it's very, very passing. Like she's kind of on board the moment she sees Roman's cheekbones, and it's just like, oh, okay, yeah, all right. You want to do what with the putty? Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
You know, like she's pretty on board with it. She has one or two moments of pause, but like for the most part, she's owning being like this crazy like nightmare woman, and I kind of loved that they just did away with that. She's like, what if a witch character like just discovers that she loves it like immediately and just leans in.
It's so wild to me. I mean, okay, I get that you are not maybe the target audience for The Craft, but I'm like, were we not all waiting all throughout childhood and teenage years to have somebody come and be like, surprise, you're a witch or you're a warlock and you're descended from this? Like, is that not a universal experience that we're all waiting for?
I was just waiting for somebody to tell me I was a graboid from Tremors. So,
okay.
Yeah, which would not have surprised me. Yeah.
It's just similar, so you can relate.
Yeah.
But I love a female sexual liberation story. This one was interesting in that, as you said, she's embracing it from the jump. But it's only uncomfortable sexual situations that we find her in here. It's like, oops, all creepy sex. It's like, inappropriate relationships with adults, at school, the counselor, her brother, adopted brother, but still is a brother, and that was creepy. Yeah, so it's all these really strange, questionable sexual situations, and also Roman, because he's been, as we find out, it's revealed he's been waiting for her since she was 6, and then finds her when she's 18, so technically legal, but he's like probably like 1,000 years old or something. So there's that as well.
And let me tell you, he's looking great. He's looking great for
fantastic.
his age. He must moisturize. I don't know. He's looking good for 1,000.
And as you said, those cheekbones could cut glass.
Oh my God.
He's the most angular face that we've encountered in one of these films so far.
Oh, but I mean, this movie right from the jump, like, just gifts us with so many great, like, good, bad movie cheeseball moments. Like the fact that the cops come in, fire 4 shots, and like 8 people fall down dead. Or when we want to see that Roman is like floating outside the window and he's clearly just standing on an AC unit that they position it's kind of clever. They position the slats on the blinds to kind of block the horizon line of the AC unit, but he's clearly just standing on something. And it's not, his magic power involves him like snapping his fingers like he's on Bewitched or something and just like popping up in different places. And he's like such a dickhole to her the entire time. It's got some kind of like soft BDSM stuff that the movie's not like really addressing or leaning into. It's just kind of like, oh, this is just kind of an assholey guy. And then, I mean, it's there are so many little moments like this. I think the thing that kind of broke it for me was when we're having a fairly explicit sex scene that appears to be taking place like in the Red Room or something. I don't know. It's in the Black Lodge or something, and everybody's like really having a good time. But
it's in the middle of a Bonnie Tyler video.
It is. It totally is. And they start having this conversation about putty. He keeps using the words sacred putty. I looked this up, okay, because it says, our go-to text, Dave Jays, it came from the video aisle. It mentions in an interview with Devin Hamilton that he researched some witchcraft stuff. So I'm like, okay, maybe sacred putty is a thing. No, if you look up sacred putty, it's going to take you to silly putty. It's going to take you to a brand of household putty called Sacro putty. This is not a thing. So they were making this up whole cloth. They were like rubbing silly putty on each other's bodies and talking about how they're made of blood and shit. And they're trying to have sex this whole time.
It wasn't just any blood and shit. I believe it contained elements of her parents, like hair and blood and bones and shit, which is arguably the weirdest thing you could have, like an full-on eye contact, lengthy conversation about during intercourse. Like, this is mid-coitus. Like, it is happening. It is not like a little like pillow talk before. It is not post-coitus conversation. This is happening during. Like, he's making heavy eye contact and be like, this is the blood and the bones and the hair of your mom, and he's like smearing it on her in the middle of sex.
And her reaction is just gross, giggle
for everything.
Yeah, like,
her reaction for all of it is like, oh, but those cheekbones, and then she just excuses it.
My favorite part of that scene also is that they're like, they're laying in the middle of these, like, this red curtained, like red lit area, having this explicit sex scene, and then he like finishes, is still staring her in the eyes, and he's like, well, that was magnificent. Anyway, here's some homework. And just pulls like loose papers. Where were they?
Don't ask questions you don't want the answers to.
It might be too gross to quote, but like the moment that made me think of was MacGruber. In all sincerity, just staring in her eyes. I shot. Like, that's what that made me think of. It was so hilarious. I mean,
also, they say that it was magnificent, but that guy was faster than the dude who fucks Judith Myers in the beginning of Halloween.
Oh yeah.
And there was nothing else going on it to indicate that it was an enjoyable experience.
Yes.
It was just the explanation of the sacred putty. And then also, if you had any question of like, is he creepy or is he charming? If you were like not really sure, he then gives her a lecture about how she's no longer pure because she banged her adopted brother and she's defiled. So like, and he's using this purity thing, and it's like, oh, it's now diminished your powers, but like now we're having sex and I'm talking to you about sacred putty, and now that's fine. So if you were just wondering if he's a creepy guy or not, you kind of get your answer during that.
But all worth it, because all of this is to say, we now, thanks to Birthright, have the plot contrivance that I put in quotes in my notes as simply undo the fuck.
Yeah,
undo the fuck. Operation toothpaste back in tube. They kind of got to undo the entire movie by the end. So it's like,
but no, Steve, you're absolutely right. I love the fact that there isn't a long stretch of this movie where she's very conflicted and very like, how do I want to use these witchy powers? Do I want to give in to these urges? Like, it happens, and then immediately she's in school and she has what I'll call super bad syndrome, which is that she can't stop drawing dicks.
She just can't stop.
Oh, I wanted that was a qualm of mine. I wanted to see her doodles.
Yes.
I also, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, because I actually think she's quite a good actress, but Natalie Sutherland is at least 30. Like, she's gotta be like I understand like movies like cast actors in their 20s to play teenagers all the time, but she does not read as having just turned 18. She reads like she's already well into vesting her IRA. Like there's, and I think she's genuinely like, she's kind of on board with the tone of this thing, and she's trying to give it a little gravitas and a little dignity. And I think sometimes the edit does her a little dirty. I think of her big dramatic magic shooting moment at the end where they seem to forget to put the after effects, and so she just looks like a sky dancer, just like. And again, all of this happening in broad daylight in what appears to be a public park. Like, it's got a kind of like high school film project charm to it that like really makes me laugh. And a couple of like solidly weird kills in this movie that I was not really expecting. Obviously, I really want to interview the actress Jennifer Lee Johnson to see how she feels about doing the scene where she gets sucked into the toilet.
That was
Because
my favorite kill of the whole thing. That was phenomenal. I was like, this alone is worth it.
it's so good, but I'm just like, I always have to wonder, like, is this on her reel? Like, this is her one scene in the movie. It's like it's her taking a shit and then getting sucked into a toilet in one of the silliest looking like effects with like big fake legs going up. I mean,
Let me ask you, you have that on your reel? Wouldn't that be the opening of your reel? Because I know it would be the opening of my reel.
It might be the opening of my reel. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, no, I think it's like, you know,
Cool
if you have any more toilet related roles, please call me.
I was gonna say, if you're auditioning for a trauma movie, that needs to be in the very beginning of your reel.
I am building a brand.
Got sucked in ass first and just legs up, squishing the cheeks,
So
the
good.
face
Oh my
cheeks. It was fantastic.
Look, one of these days, the Coens are going to be looking for a guy who gets sucked into a toilet, and I'm going to be the first one they call.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, she gets to embrace it early on, which is really fun because she's drawing the graphic pictures in her class, so she's kind of like, you know, dealing with it a little bit. But then it only really takes one day from her to go from being like this kind of shy restraint girl to dressing like Lady Miss Keir when she's wearing her like I don't even know, like polyester pants and button-up shirt. She's got kind of like a Rose McGowan outfit going on there.
Yeah,
but so she gets to do that, and also for anybody under the age of 50, the person I just referenced is the female singer from the band D-Light of Groove is in the Heart fame. You're welcome.
Groove is, she really did confirm to us all that groove is in the heart.
The groove was, where does the groove live?
Yeah.
It lives in the heart.
That's where it is. That's where it is.
But that's what this movie got me with, was little moments like that. Like, it's obviously fun to see Julie Strain. It's obviously fun to see Brink Stevens pop up and things like this. I got a good laugh from Dave J's little blurb from Julie Strain in the book about this, about how, you know, for her to play this teacher, and also as an educator myself, I have lots of thoughts about her teaching style. But to look the part, none at all. To look the part, she's wearing like these like frumpy clothes. They went out, they specifically bought kind of like very unflattering clothes for her to play this teacher. And the way she describes it in talking about it is so adorably hilarious, where she's like, oh yeah, you know, well, they wanted to make me look really frumpy and unattractive, and I kind of considered this for myself to be a challenging role, because normally in a movie I just have my titties out.
That's so good. It's also so funny that this is Julie Strain's version of frumpy. It's like showing up looking like you're drawn by the Danger Girls guy or something. Like she looked like a smoke show, and she's like this kind of, she's performing this like she's a teacher in a porno, and which never actually arises, which is great.
They walked right off the Hot for Teacher set.
They absolutely did. Yeah, and she's playing it like that, and then like I love that this movie just kind of hits the gas early on. Like, I think it's maybe minute 20 when we get our first like throat slashing in the middle of class. Like, there's all kinds of like batshit stuff like that. The brother fucking subplot that's just kind of like thrown out there, and also apparently everybody in the family wants to fuck this brother because he and the other girl have a lot of chemistry too at the end of it. I'm like, okay, all right, I don't know what we're working through here, but this is very interesting. I mean, it's leaning into the camp in a really fun way. Like, Devin Hamilton says that he was a little hands off with this one, like compared to the other two. So I don't know if he's trying to like excuse himself or anything, or if he's trying to distance himself. But I think this has that right mix of like having somebody who appreciates the genre and appreciates the kind of film that they're doing and is smart and is capable, but is also like so pressed for time that some of these mistakes are coming through, like maybe unintentionally. It's made very sincerely, but knowingly at the same time. It's not like a full Sharknado where we're going to make a bad movie on purpose. This is, it understands what it is, but it also isn't intentionally trying to be that. It makes it kind of the perfect mix.
Did you guys watch Teen Witch? Have you seen that movie?
I did. I've
yet to top that.
Oh, gotcha.
Yes.
I have mine.
This to me felt like Teen Witch, but if you're doing it not as like a porn, but for like Skinamax. Like so
Yeah,
Totally.
yeah.
yeah, or like for like a Lifetime kind of a darker, sexy, weird brother fucking kind of element to it.
Right.
Like a little hornier, darker and
Yeah.
hornier.
Exactly. Yeah. Surprisingly horny. Surprisingly like, and I like that it is like you said, Jared. It's very male gazy, or it's very female gazy. You know, it's very like, it's very much prioritizing like her sexual desires and like the fact that she's like lusting after this guy and everything. I think he's trying to pull like the dominance card with the "let me direct this conversation" or whatever, but he doesn't feel like he's, I don't know, he still feels kind of like innocuous for the most
He's
part.
no
One of
match
them-
for the Grand Dame. You
Oh
can't.
no, he cannot.
No, certainly
No.
not.
Mm.
There's a scene where I laughed really hard where Rebecca wakes up from a nightmare, and her sister Erin comes in and is like, "Oh my God, what happened? Like, are you okay?" And she's like, "Oh, I had a nightmare, I guess." And then it smash cuts to Roman shirtless, flexing in the window, snapping his fingers while like leering at the camera.
That
And then
makes it sound like West
do-
Side Story snapping his
And then they do it again where it's like, was he good? Like she's like, "Oh, I was with Roman," and it's like, "Did he kiss you?" And she's like, "Yeah." And then it cuts back to him again, the same exact like insert shot for a second time.
He's like,
And
yeah, I did.
I
You guys
was
talking about me? Sorry, I thought I heard my name. I'm just hanging out here. Do you guys have a shirt, by the way? I think I left my shirt. All right,
Well,
you're having a moment. I'll come back.
I was convinced we didn't get it in this movie, but I was convinced that we were going to get, because we get very, I'm not gonna say we don't get because that's wrong, but we get a little bit of like female topless nudity. We get a decent amount of male topless nudity, if you want to call males being shirtless nudity. But in like, I think it was in Bleed, actually, there's a scene with like a similarly very like beefcakey, ripped, square jaw actor who's playing one of the characters gets his bathing suit pulled down, and then there's like he gets up, he jumps into the pool with no bathing suit, gets out, wraps a towel around himself, and then sits down with his legs open, Basic Instinct style, and we just get like full frontal in the shot. And I thought we were going to get that in this movie. We don't.
No.
We come close to it. We've got some male butt. We've got some men holding a garment of clothing in front of their groins.
Red Hot
But,
Chili Peppers style. Yeah.
There's a sock
Mhm.
hanging from his.
We've got a bunch of men giving it away now. Yeah, no, it's fun.
Yeah, there were less boobs than I thought, in a complimentary way, because usually
Mhm.
you're just used to just like in boobs in every scene, but there was a lot more like hunky, square jawed man butts like roaming around, floating around, if you will, actually.
And I mean, I'm not aware of Devin Hamilton's sexuality or all, and I don't want to speculate or cast anything on that. But this does have the same kind of feel of a David Dakota movie, where like the heterosexual sex scenes are shot a little indifferently compared to some of the shots of the men. And again, I think it's great. I think it's we talked a lot about Jason Paul Collum about like how the queer horror scene is sort of arising in like these direct-to-video movies around this time, and they don't fully have a name for it yet. They don't fully have a way to market it as such just yet, but it's kind of developing in these sort of smaller movies. So I mean, I think it's great, and I think it just adds a little bit extra layer onto what is a deeply silly movie.
It's a deeply silly movie, but I will say, yes, there are many scenes in this movie that are shot in broad daylight, giving it sort of that like high school or student film feel to it at times. But I will actually say this. I do think that the increase in budget does show up on screen in a lot of ways. Maybe not in practical effects per se. Like a lot of times the way the scenes are edited, it's like someone's getting stabbed, there's no damage, cuts back to them, they're covered in blood. It's like, okay, I get it. It's a shortcut for that kind of scene. There's not a lot of work really done in this movie in terms of prosthetics and makeup so much. But I generally do think that, so this was shot in 2002 in a really, really short period of time for $75,000. And this movie was shot by Keith J. Duggan, who would go on to shoot a handful of full moon movies after this, like Decadent Evil and a few other things. Um, I think he actually does a really good job with the fact that this is shot on video for practically no money. I think this looks pretty good at times when we get to these like Tempe era shadow entertainment, maybe even like early full moon features ones that are shot on video. The aspect ratios are always fucked up. So I watched this on Tubi, but it was in 16:9, and
Mhm.
if it was stretched to fit the screen, it wasn't pixelated. The aspect ratio didn't look messed with. The frame rate wasn't messed with. Angel, I don't know if you've listened to any of our episodes really in the past, but we've encountered a really strange phenomenon on the show a few times, which is where a movie will be listed on IMDb at about 73, 74 minutes. And then we go and find it on Tubi or the Full Moon app or Prime Video, and it's like 90 minutes. And
Oh.
we're like, what's different about it? Well, it turns out what's different about it was that they took these movies that were in like 4:3 aspect ratio, and they slowed down the frame rate to pull them into 16:9.
Mhm.
So it slowed down the dialogue
Oh
of
my
the
God.
movie, so everyone sounds like they're on Quaaludes, and it's really weird.
We had a couple of these where I was watching. I'm like, man, this thing is so sluggishly paced, and it feels so long. And you had like the opposite reaction, like, well, I don't know, I thought it was kind of brisk, and yeah, it's just crazy. It's just they are slowing it down like almost imperceptibly.
Oh, that's
And
so weird.
no, yeah, and I think this one was like, I thought this looked pretty good a lot of the time. I think
Yeah.
this is one of the better looking shot on video, and I will say, a lot of times those movies are shot in the daylight because lighting them at night is tricky. Like we did one not too long ago called Jigsaw, which
Hmm.
was a very interesting movie in terms of concept and actually, executed reasonably well again for the budget and time constraints. But I felt like when they filmed anything that was outside, it was just either like really dark and underlit and hard to see, or a really obvious like day for night or filter or something on it. But I actually thought the scene between Roman and Rebecca when they were talking outside at night was quite well lit.
Hmm.
And I thought this is probably the best looking shot on video scene. And there are a handful of them in this movie where I thought, okay, they actually did make this somewhat cinematic in ways. And then even when it didn't quite work, it still had kind of the passability of like a Freeform or ABC Family or basic cable original television show from the turn of the millennium.
That being
So
said, this is, like I said, maybe the most brightly lit gothic witch movie of all time. There's something just inherently silly about the final shot of Roman in broad daylight, just perching on the overhang of a house, like in full black regalia. I'm like, everybody can see you in your duster, dude. You're the neighbors are calling the cops on you right now because it is broad daylight and you are standing out. Like it is just funny how much of this is shot during the daytime, and a lot of Delta Delta Die was shot at night. So I think literally he was just back to backing them, and probably should have swapped these, right? Like I feel like Delta
yeah,
Delta Die, which is a sorority horror film, like that's shot mostly inside, that could have been done during the day, and then this one really needs some shadows and some moonlight and some kind of evocative mood.
right.
Like I do not want to, I do not want to feel like there's the risk of a frisbee penetrating the shot at any given time.
Or they could have even done like half seas, right? Like shot half in the day, shot half at night, so they could do their interiors and make it a little more gothy. But yeah, I did like
Yeah.
the Roman sitting on the top of the house, like crouched weirdly on like the perch like this, and then he like makes a little quip about
Yeah.
mortals. I was like, as they're going in, and I was like, sequel question mark was my note because I
Oh yeah. I
He
mean,
just
Birth Rights is coming soon. Yeah. They're
oh
bringing
yeah,
that
with
back.
a
Yeah.
dollar
Yeah.
sign for the S.
Yeah. There you go. I mean, and
Yeah.
I think we need to address the incredible capoeira fight scene in
That's-
the tennis court at the end of this movie. They were seeding it, okay? They mentioned twice that Erin, the sister character, was a champion in capoeira, which is for those who don't know, a martial art that's kind of a mix of Brazilian fighting or Brazilian dancing and fighting.
It's sexy
like,
dance fighting.
It's
I
sexy
say,
dance
but
fighting if you're a Bob's
yes,
Burgers
yes,
fan.
sir.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's exactly it. The Troca de Cordões. But they're seeding it throughout the movie, but like I didn't think they were ever actually going to go there because
No.
I don't know. Forgive me if I'm blanking on something. Is this the first time we've encountered martial arts at all in a full moon movie?
To this degree,
To
like
this degree.
where it goes like slow motion, and they're really they're going for it kind of in that scene. I was thinking we were going to maybe get some bullet time.
Oh man,
Like
I think if they had the budget, they would have tried. Instead, what we get is kind of like a little bit of parkour, a little bit of ballroom dancing, and it's all happening in full daylight in a tennis court. And this is the climactic big fight scene of the movie, and apparently just the immortal warlock from beyond time with the powers to control people's minds and infuse them with magic is no match for sexy dance fighting. Like that's the thing that's going to take him down, and it takes him down so seamlessly. I was just overjoyed.
This is so stupid and like off topic, but I have to say it only because it's still relatively fresh in my mind. And I know Steve will know what it is and Angel will know what it is. And by the time this airs, most people will have seen it. But you saying parkour and me thinking of them flipping, I couldn't stop thinking about the dude in the Toxic Avenger who keeps flipping.
It's like, stop flipping, stop.
Oh my God. I was laughing in the theater so hard at all of those scenes.
While we're spoiling recent horror movies, there's a trend of that because 28 years later also ends with some flipping guys running around and doing some parkour moves. So
his weapons count. He's not flipping himself, but he keeps getting knocked down, then getting up again, and then gets knocked down, then gets up again. Chumbawamba style.
Chumbawamba, yeah. He's tub thumping over there. Yeah.
My note on the capoeira part was Chekhov's capoeira, because like they randomly mention it like at dinner. They're having a conversation. It has nothing to do with anything. She kind of gives her mom, who arguably should understand by now what capoeira is, if her daughter has this kind of masterful skill of this. She's been doing it for a while, I imagine. And then she has to explain to her mom, oh, mom, capoeira, and then gives a definition at the dinner table. It has nothing to do with anything. And I was like, that was weird. But then it does pay off. I foolishly thought that it was there for no reason, no payoff, but then is the ultimate payoff of the movie.
Angel, any other movie, if I was watching like a mainstream movie and they kept seeding that capoeira thing early on, I would have guaranteed immediately said, oh yeah, this is going to end with the capoeira thing. I just did not see it coming here at all. I didn't think they would commit to it. I just didn't see it coming in this like witchcraft based horror movie. Like, I just didn't think they were going to go there, and I was just so happy that it turned out.
I was highly dismissive of it, and for that I apologize.
No, hey, look.
I was in the same boat, because not only that, but the scene where she runs away from Rebecca and Roman, and she does like a little fake out and a little ruse, and she hides by the window, which she then runs up behind Rebecca and doesn't tackle her, doesn't throw her down, gives her the world's softest one-hand touch push. Like, you would this wouldn't even end like a two-hand touch football play if you touched someone this way.
No way.
And Rebecca falls down, and then I had the thought where I was like, oh, well, I guess she's not really a martial artist after all. They got me. So then when it started, I'm like, oh, she was a martial artist. They tricked me.
She was a martial artist all along.
Oh,
sisterly love will save you every time.
it just, we had mentioned like earlier in the recording, Angel, that you were a fan of the movie Blood Dolls, the 1999 Charles Band film that like we were huge fans of as well. This movie was giving me a lot of senses of that, not because they're like similar really in any way, but that was the last movie I think that we watched that I really felt surprised and just kind of like elated by some of the choices that they were making and the way that it was being executed. Like, I was just like really on board with how goofy this thing was, and I was laughing and I was clapping. I was having a great time with this thing.
I would love to see this in a theater with an audience. Like, I think that would be a blast.
I think next time I do, like I used to do like some bad horror or some good bad movie nights and stuff like that. Have some friends over and we have some drinks and we joke about the movie. I think this one's making the rotation. I think
Yes.
this one is getting added to the list because people will have a really good time with this one. And it's just silly enough and just short enough that I think it's kind of perfect for that kind of get together.
I think that I think the lead performance in this movie, which we've talked about a number of times from Natalie Sutherland, is reminiscent in some ways of the performance of Rachel Kelly in the movie Scream for Help. It's like Scream for Help is just a crazy exploitation movie, which I've talked about a few times on the show. And for anyone who doesn't know what the movie is, it is a Michael Winner movie that is essentially if Shadow of a Doubt were made by sexual predators.
Yes.
And
that's a good description. That movie's fucking nuts.
Rachel Kelly, who's the lead character, who sees the man who her mom's boyfriend cheating, and then it's a whole thing about her trying to prove it, has this same unhinged energy where there's never even a second of like, is what I'm doing right? How do I go about doing this? How do I do it in a discreet way? It's just this balls to the wall performance with her. Like, oh no, my whole character now is based on fucking this guy's life up. And I really was getting that energy. And I was so happy that that's the way that this lead character was played. Like, I love that fact. I love the fact that she was just giving in to the witchy powers. And she was just like, anytime someone would say something, she's like, and I love that she dropped F-bombs all the time too. And it's like, well, why'd you do that? And she's just like, I don't know, I wanted to fuck them.
Yeah, hey, why not?
I loved the unapologetic nature of the character. That was kind of refreshing. Yeah. Especially if she's getting lectured about purity from Roman and she's just like, no, brother fucking killing dead bullies. Yeah.
No, she's like, oh no, this is what being 18 is all about, right? Yeah. I'm an adult now. This is adult stuff.
I have a note in my notes with nothing else next to it, and it took me a minute to realize what I was alluding to because I wrote it with no context. So I wrote the phrase "ripped open shirt," and what I realized what it meant was it's kind of like a borrowing from Nightmare on Elm Street, where she wakes up from her nightmare and her shirt is ripped open. It's not cut with four, Freddy talons, but it is ripped open. And it got me thinking when I was watching that movie, okay, we've all either, had sleepovers with friends, we've shared hotel rooms, things like that with friends. We've, for space have shared a bed with a friend. Same pillow? Like, that was a choice. Like,
touching noses, basically. Yeah.
I thought,
is that how you
I
sleep?
thought we were going to have a Mulholland Drive moment for a second because she's like, well, you can sleep in here with me if you want. And then she cuddles up next to her and she's facing her. So they're just laying there facing each other with both of their heads on the same pillow. And then it just fades out and goes to the next scene. And I was just like, there's got to be another pillow on that bed. Like, you're sharing a hotel room if I was sharing a hotel room with a friend and they were like, unfortunately we have to share this queen bed or king bed, I'd be like, okay, I'll make do. But then they just plop their head next to me on the same pillow. I'd be like, this is a hotel, man. Like, there's a down comforter, there's a closet full of pillows.
There's a cup chair right over there in the corner. Just go sit there. Yeah.
I like that you draw the line at it must be two pillows and a queen bed. It's not happening in a full bed, and there's got to be two pillows.
Oh, well, I mean, you just have to cave. If it's a twin bed, you're sleeping on top of each other.
Look, you're at that point, you're just like fusing eyeballs like in together. You're just like you're just melding into one person. Yeah, maybe that's the goal.
To get out of sharing a pillow, you could just lay your head on top of their head if it's a twin bed, and then you don't have to be on one pillow face to face.
That hurts my neck. Just
that sounds comfortable. I'm gonna try that one out.
It's just like,
for ergonomic reasons, I will be passing on that.
My spine must decline. Well, do we have any final thoughts about the movie Birth Rite before we wrap this up? What a treat this thing is. It's so silly.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with this. I don't know if it was a byproduct of like my school year just started recently, so I've been hectic back to work. This was only my 4th day of school back. I mean, obviously these things air a lot later, but really, tired and beat at the end of each day. And I came home and I was just like, all right, I got to watch this movie. I've got about 2 hours. The movie's 88 minutes.
Mhm.
I'll watch it. And I just sat down, I've got myself some chips and hummus, and I just watched. And I made, in my mind, I sort of like sided with the movie almost immediately. And I was just like, I had a great time from that point on. And I don't know if it was because what I needed was to turn my brain off for a minute and focus on something that wasn't work,
Mhm.
but it got all of my attention, and I just started to notice, oh, I like that they did that. Oh, that's funny. Oh, this is interesting that they did this. And Steve and I have a thing where our kind of mantra approaching the show is like, meet these movies where they are.
Mm.
So I was also thinking like, all right, well, if this was a movie with a double or triple digit $1 million budget doing the same thing, would this scene work? How would this be if this had more time, if this had more budget, if
Mm.
this was a pilot for a tween, you know, witchy kind of occult show, would it work? And that was kind of the attitude that I took into
Mhm.
watching it. And I just I enjoyed myself. And I think as a rule, I have enjoyed the three movies that in the Shadow Entertainment little subdivision that we covered here, all for different reasons. But I went in thinking like, all right, I'm tired, I'm going to sit down, this could be kind of a very talky, very serious, very slow moving, kind of plotting slog of a thing, and it's not. And I was
Mm.
very thankful for that. And I had a much better time than I was anticipating. Angel,
I
what
was
about you?
in I was in from the opening credits. The opening credits hit and it's aggressively early 2000s, and I there is no higher compliment that I could give than that, because
Oh,
it
it's
transports me back to like fucking around on a Friday night at the video store when I am either I'm finally old enough or I have a friend that is old enough to get the rated R movies, and just grabbing like the most bonkers shit that we find and then having an absolute blast with it. Like, this is that kind of a movie. It's the one that you grab kind of blind buy from the video store, come home with your friends, eat some snacks, and just have an amazing time with it.
fully, absolutely. Yeah, we didn't even mention the opening credits. Like, these are like Windows 98 ass screensaver. I was waiting for little like pipes to start like knitting themselves together in the background. So good. There's all these
I was
goofy
waiting for my
tentacles.
mom to like yell for me to do something, and I was like, "Oh, I'm a
Right.
grown ass woman in my own house. Okay, my mom's not gonna be like, come do this for me real quick."
Mama,
No,
play
wait, I
the
have
stems.
yeah,
Me
I have to
alone.
close my AIM window.
Yeah. Are you on the interwebs again? Are you watching that witch porn?
Not again. Well, yeah. Angel, thank you so much for being here. This was a delight having you. I'm glad we found a suitably insane movie for you to be here
I feel like it was
for.
like a spin of the wheel, but I also feel like this was very custom curated for me. So thank you. It was the perfect movie to invite me for, and I had a blast. Thank you
You
guys
got
so
it.
much.
You got to land it on a jackpot. I'm
Yeah,
glad that
I
worked out
did.
for you. Where can people find all the amazing stuff that you're working on?
People should be visiting fangoria.com every morning. Is the first, it should actually be your homepage, ideally, is what everyone should be doing for your horror news. You can
People,
find
we
me.
have told you about.
People
Oh,
told you.
okay. I'm sick of asking. Homepage Fangoria.
And if it's not your homepage, I guess that's fine. But at least, just come by, visit us every day. We have some good stuff happening. We have a lot of amazing writers. You can find me on socials. It's Angel, is sometimes Itsanhel. That is not how I spell my name. It is not how I pronounce my name. It was just a family inside thing, and I never thought that strangers would be looking me up, and I've caused a lot of confusion. It is just Angel. And then on Blue Sky, Horror Girl Probs, and that's not for probably, it's for problems, but the name was too long.
Can I tell you that when I first, I would see you as a talking head in like documentaries. And then when I first started following you on Instagram, however long ago that was, and I read the name It's Angel, I had like a moment to myself where I was like, I've been calling her Crandall. Like I was like, wait, no, did she not go by Angel? Shit. And I'm like, I was kind of like, oh wait, I've been wrong about that. But I've also, I teach in a district that had a huge Latinx like population, and so I've encountered Angel as a name a few times of students, and so I was just like laughing. I was like, oh wait, I didn't want to be presumptuous, but maybe I should have been presumptuous. But so maybe it's not Angel. And then when he was like, it's Angel, I was like, okay.
I have stressed everyone out. And then I even have people that are like, oh my God, like they don't even want to say my name out loud. And they're like, it's been a year and now I have to ask, am I saying it wrong? And I'm like, no, I would have told you. But
This is
thank
great.
you. And I'm sorry for stressing everyone the fuck out. Yeah, it's
No,
just
I love
Angel.
it. You spark an existential crisis by the very mention of your name, and I think that makes you uniquely qualified to be a horror host. So
In
yeah, I think
kindergarten,
it's
when
great.
they're like, what do you want to grow up to be? That's actually what I wrote down. So that's
Existential
great.
crisis. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I put eldritch horror, so yeah,
And we're all living our dreams.
we're
Look at us,
both
guys.
there. We're both doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't put anything. I have the cranial capacity of a stagecoach filter.
You're shaping the minds of the
know,
future.
I'm
That's
sorry.
amazing.
I want to apologize to everyone with or maybe not, with the increased volume of Simpsons references that have been coming out. I've been just like rewatching old Simpsons episodes, and they
Oh,
always lived in my brain. And now I'm just starting to reference them more, like I did like 10 years ago. It was like I spoke mainly in Simpsons and Mystery Science Theater references, like 15, 20, 25 years ago. And then that sort of morphed into 30 Rock references. And then that morphed into I Think You Should Leave references.
oh yeah. We had a real I think you should leave corridor. I'm glad we're cycling back onto The Simpsons because you won't hear me not complain.
That's timeless.
But if you go and follow Angel on her socials and follow Fangoria and have it as your homepage and read all of the amazing articles, you're going to find something that you love. If you are a fan of the show that we bring to you every single week, then the best way to show us is to go on whatever podcast chaser you are listening to us on. If it's one that has a function for rating and reviewing the show, please leave us a 5-star rating, maybe a brief review if you feel so inclined to do so. More ratings, more reviews just helps us show up more in people's searches and helps get the show out to an even wider audience. If you have questions, comments, feedback, anything like that, you can email Steve or myself at puppetmasterscastlefreaks@gmail.com. If you want to follow the show and keep up with us on like a day-to-day basis, the best way to do that is on Instagram. You can follow us at puppetmasters_castlefreaks. You can follow me at _Giallo_Jared or Steve at Minotaur Matador. We post about the show on Blue Sky and on Threads. We have a Facebook group for the show and also promote the show in other horror-related Facebook groups, which I'm sure some people listening are members of. So you'll definitely see what we've got going on. Eventually, we'll get our YouTube beefed up a little bit more, but we can't worry about that right now because Steve has another amazing podcast that he wants to take this time to plug. So, Steve, what else do you spend your time on?
Oh my God, so many useless things. But one of those things is a podcast called Cinema Arcade. That is cinema and arcade mashed together. That's what we do. We are watching movies and then playing the video games based on those movies. We are right smack in the middle of the Halloween season as you're listening to this. So that means actually a week from today, you're going to be hearing Jared talking about Halloween, his self-professed favorite movie, and I'm sure going to be his new favorite video game. But we also have other movies coming out this month, like From Dusk Till Dawn, Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, Rocky Horror Picture Show, and World War Z. So check out all of those episodes this month. And be sure to check us out next month, okay? Next week. No, don't wait till next month. You'll want to be here next week because we have a huge one for you guys. It's Halloween. Our show's falling on that sacred date. So obviously we got to go big. And that means we're finally going to be talking about Head of the Family, one of the most insane movies in the entire canon, one of the most requested, one of the most vaunted in the entire catalog. I'm very excited to get to it.
We put it off. We put it off for a long time until we felt like it was time. And I think having the show fall on Halloween and having exhausted a lot of the more sort of traditional horror feeling movies within the Empire Full Moon catalog, we said we need to do something for Halloween to make it big. Why not talk about one of our favorite full moon movies, one of Charles Band's favorite full moon movies, one of the full moon fans' favorite full moon movies? I'm so excited to talk about Head of the Family. I love Head of the Family, and I've been waiting for this, and I know everyone who's listening has been waiting for this as well.
And
So-
Birthright, take note. This is a movie that shows you how to deliver exposition during a sex scene. Okay, this
sure
is the
does.
master class in that particular subgenre of film. I would say fully half of that movie is taking place between thrusts. So enjoy that and enjoy
My
that
number one
horrible
sex
thing I said.
monologue movie now.
Yeah, it's the
it
number one.
better be.
BuzzFeed's
Yeah.
top 5 sex monologue movies. This is number
All right.
one.
Well, I want to thank Angel again for coming on. We're so excited to have you and to kind of have you join in our like Fangoria crossover family, because it's like we've had Phil, we've had Richard Newby, we've had Meredith, we've had a ton of Fangoria people. I mean, Michael Gingold a couple times on the show,
Oh.
Barbara, who's also a contributor. And so it's great to have you. I'm glad that we could finally make this happen. And anybody listening, you would be a fool not to check out Fangoria, especially the incredible quarterly issues they're putting out these days with amazing subscriber covers. And I will say, if you are a Fangoria subscriber, you will probably be getting the newest quarterly issue very soon if you haven't gotten it already. And it features my good friend Zero Gravity on the
Yay,
cover.
cover girl.
How
Cover
fucking
ghoul.
cool. I was so excited when I saw that. I'm like, oh my God, we know her. It's so,
So
cool.
epic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's amazing.
it's incredible. So check all of that stuff again. Thank you to everyone who tunes in every week. Thank you to Angel for joining us, and we will see you next time for our Halloween Head of the Family Bash, as I'm dubbing it. See you then.